Oh my gosh. So I love, I had nothing to do with the song that got chosen today. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. And we weren't sure about a week ago what we were going to do. And I think two different people talked about this song. And I thought, in Science of Mind, we really don't talk about surviving. We don't survive. That's like an energy that's kind of lower. We thrive. But the more I thought about it, I thought how pertinent this is for what I need to tell you about today and how it just goes perfectly with this whole idea of empowerment. And I know that we all have our stories of survival. I don't know anybody that hasn't been knocked off balance from something that's happened in life, whether it's the loss of somebody you love or a career that ended prematurely or just some sort of something that just shook your world up and you went to a place where you felt like you couldn't get up again or you weren't going to survive. And of course, I, like you, have had many in my life, but there's one in particular that I want to tell you about. And I used to be really embarrassed about sharing this story with you because I was 16 years old, and I think, God, I was such a silly little 16-year-old, and I had this experience that was pretty much a breakthrough for me. And I really held back telling this story, but it wasn't a silly experience to me because it pulled me into some very dark territory inside of myself. And I'm happy to tell you it was the beginning of my spiritual journey, and not only did I survive that experience, but I now thrive. But it was the beginning. So I was just a funny little 16-year-old, really into what was going on in my outer world, and I was a cheerleader, and I was a gymnast, did great in school. I was totally doing well in everything I did. And so we had I was going into my senior year, and we had the cheerleading competition, and I had already been a varsity cheerleader because I had really good flexibility, and, I am who I am, and it showed up, and they loved me. And so I thought, I'm a shoo-in for senior year to be on varsity. And I did really great in what they call the practical, which is you do your cheers and your splits and all that good stuff. But the population part, we had a popularity part to it where you had to get voted in. And I didn't have a boyfriend to help me get votes. But this other person who ran for cheerleader, who wasn't as good as I was, her boyfriend was out getting people to go vote. And he just pulled people off, go vote, go vote. And so what ended up happening is I did not make varsity cheerleader because she got the votes and I didn't. And I was relegated to B squad. And my God, devastating for a 16-year-old. Really devastating. I went, I got to tell you, I went into depression. We did this all in the spring. And so that summer, I got really depressed and really dark. And, I developed an eating disorder, really serious. I developed anorexia. And my poor parents, this was before anorexia was really like in the public eye, and they didn't know what was going on with me. I didn't know what was going on with me. I was just in this loop of really self-destructive behavior. And I went to a place where I just was so lost and so separated from everything. And I didn't know where I was going. And I was 16 years old, my God, thinking I should be, clued in on where my life is going. But because I had really turned away from everything I knew and I didn't know where I was going, I was in a place of real big uncertainty. But then one day, my wonderful sister who was going to UC Santa Cruz in the 1970s, and if you know anything about UC Santa Cruz, you might imagine, she was very experimental in what she was doing. And so you guys know what they do there, right? And she was very spiritual, though. And her spirituality wasn't religious. She was raised Jewish as I was. But she wasn't into Judaism in a dogmatic way. She wasn't even into being Jewish at that time. But she radiated this spirituality. And she talked about it. She talked about Buddhism, and she talked about just finding this place within that's very sacred. And when she came home to visit one time after I was just really in it, she talked with me, and we hadn't been having a relationship with each other because, well, she was the older sister, and she was the rebel, and I was the younger sister, and I was perfect, and so there was a huge chasm between us, huge. But that chasm closed up when she saw the condition I was in, and she knew she could help me just by being this loving person to me. And so the door opened for me to be in a place of spiritual understanding, because you know what? She woke up that place within that I had no idea existed, that spirit that I am. You know what? I don't have my clicker up here. Oh, no, here it is. I'm sorry. I got so into telling the story that I forgot I really need this. So, this awakening is all about the force within. The force awakens. And I chose this topic in this way because I think that a lot of us go through this sort of place of darkness and uncertainty and no clarity. And when we wake up to something that reminds us what we do here, reminds us of who we are, it's like this force awakens, and it's light, and it's love, and it's the essence of who we are. And so my idea of empowerment is opening up and awakening to the power that is within all of us, that divine power. And Ernest Holmes talks about it, that there's a place within ourselves that can't be harmed by anything, that is always present, that is always burning. And sometimes we cannot feel it, like I couldn't feel it when I was 16 years old. But when my sister told me about the light inside me, it started to radiate, it started to burn. And there's such an intuitive understanding about what that force is within ourselves that we really don't need to read a book about it. We need to open up to it and feel it, invite it in, let it shine, let it inform us, let us discover what's inside of ourselves that we maybe have not been living into, that is that current of energy that is thriving inside of ourselves. And when we connect, it allows us to thrive in all ways. So Yoda was so brilliant, wasn't he? I know a lot of you know that Star Wars was written with the help, I think, of Joseph Campbell, and it's very, like what Reverend Mark talked about, the hero's journey. But Yoda, man, he really knew it all. He was like Ernest Holmes. And he says, right? I was going to bring a slide. Truth be told, I did a talk, about 3 or 4 years ago, and it was called The Journey Home. And Julie, who used to work in our office, made a character that was a combination of Yoda and Dr. Joe, and it was not pretty. It was not pretty. I was almost going to bring it today, but I didn't want to get in trouble. Anyway, so we got Yoda. So Yoda tells us of the importance of awakening to the force. Because when we're in the energy of the force, we are in that energy, as we speak of who we are. And we have a sense of being aligned with our divine nature, with the wholeness that we are. And if we continue living our lives not seeing that, not living from that, we stumble and we use our will to try to make things happen, but it doesn't always work. But when we come from that place of the force or spirit or God or the quantum field, whatever word works for you, I invite you to use it. But whatever that is, that innate nature that is life-giving, that place, we must awaken to it if we want to live a life where everything is thriving, where we have great health, prosperity that is flowing constantly, where we have good relationships and our creativity is flowing nonstop. That's what to awaken to, that energy. Ernest Holmes says this: all nature conspires to produce and manifest the freedom of the individual, that it may unloose its own energy. And Aline touched on this today, about this innate energy that we have that's just like a current. It's pure, it's alive, it's intelligent, it's causative, and it's within all of us. But what is so cool is that it expresses so differently by means of everybody. And that's a cool thing. No two people are alike. I'm sorry, they aren't. Everybody's a little different. And when we let that energy come up and we let ourselves express it, then we're in the flow of life. We're fulfilled. I'm working with somebody right now as in a counseling capacity who used to do a lot of work with children. And she was fabulous. She counseled really troubled kids. And these stories, oh my God, the story she told me yesterday, I can't even tell you. It was just mind-boggling because they were kids who didn't really have strong role models. And she doesn't do that work anymore. And she's feeling very separated and very not like she's got a purpose, because she's got this natural energy that's all about serving and helping and educating. But because her energy isn't being given an outlet, she doesn't feel expressed and she doesn't have her life force intact. And that's what's so important. Our life force has to be perfectly intact. When I was that 16-year-old girl, my life force was like this. I was not tuned in to the energy of my soul because I needed to find it again because I didn't know who that was. But once I started figuring things out, everything was flowing. And so that's why it's so important to listen to the energy of our soul. Listen to the energy of who we are and what is ours to do. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. It can just be a nice person. It doesn't have to be President of the United States. It can be, I just want to be a nice, giving person. Wherever I go, I want to be kind. That's a great thing to be. We need more of that, right? But that's what it's all about. Channeling that energy, letting the energy come up, and to stop questioning it. Dr. James, I've been having this wonderful experience of teaching all of Dr. James's classes while he's doing all this traveling. And I've been I was sitting in with him on some last week, and he said something that was so brilliant, and I scribbled it down because it was perfect for today. And he said this: energy is always looking for a way out for us to experience. So do you see there's this current of energy, this flow that's always there, and it needs to come out. It needs to come out. And it's there for us to experience because this energy and whatever we desire to bring forward expands us. It allows us to do something that we really want to do. And when we do that and we're finished with that, there's another new to do and another new. It's just a cycle that keeps going. And this is how we evolve. This is how we expand. This is how we become everything that is in us to be. It's the energy saying yes and going forward and expressing it. There he is again. I love this picture of him. Yeah, he's fictional. What am I saying? For my ally, we just make things I make things so personal. For my ally is the force, and a powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow. Its energy surrounds us and binds us. Luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. Not this crude matter. This is so brilliant, and it's so quantum. It's what we're talking about right now. And not that matter is a bad thing, because it isn't. It's a wonderful thing. It's creative. It allows us to bring forth the inside into this outer expression. But for us to be walking through our lives and identifying with the crude matter does a disservice to that wholeness and that vibrancy and that excitement and that life that wants to be expressed as us. And so it's important to remember that we're not the matter. The matter is a byproduct of our consciousness. We are the life force. We are the light. We are the energy. And when we start claiming that and believing it, because I know sometimes it's hard to believe it. And it might take baby steps to get to that place where you can say, you know what? God is, I am. I know sometimes it takes time. Myself, I've been on that journey where it's like, are you serious? I'm all this? Now I get it. Now I live it. But I understand it takes time sometimes to know and believe you are the wholeness of the universe. You are the stars. You are the planets. You're everything. You're the energy behind it all. And you bring it forth by means of you and your choices that you make. So what does it mean to be empowered? Knowing who I am to the point where I no longer second-guess myself, seek the approval of others, or thwart the flow of my energy. I am my own authority. And I can stand up here and say, this is who I am now, but maybe even 5 years ago, I don't know if I could really say I'm my own authority. I think there have been times in my life where I thought that I can't trust myself, or I've made all these mistakes, so how can I trust my decision-making? But you know what? We all make choices that maybe didn't put us in the place we want to be. But there's always an opportunity to start anew. And we are our own authority because you're it. You're it. And it's to trust your power that you are and stop identifying with mistakes or screw-ups or failures, because that is life. That is life. You are not bound to your past. You are bound to the energy of life that you are. That's what you're bound to, so use it. Let go of the past. Let go of anything you wish you hadn't done, and start fresh and be your own authority. When I read those words to you, when I say, you are it. No, don't second guess yourself. Be who you are. Don't seek approval from others. How do you feel? Do you feel great? Right. Okay. Well, then something happens called kryptonite. Do you all know what kryptonite is? You all know Superman? Okay. This is a shameless plug. I'm sorry. I don't usually do this, but I am today. So I wrote a book in 2019 called Fear to Faith, and it's just like little daily snippets of something pithy to say and then have a spiritual truth in it. And I wrote about Superman and kryptonite, and I thought I'm going to read it to you because it says it all. Watching Superman as a child, I was always fascinated by the power kryptonite had over him. How this beautiful green stone could cripple the man of steel was mind-boggling. We can turn this into a personal spiritual lesson because we all have our own forms of kryptonite that weaken us. There are certain situations, people, or things that cripple us at the very thought of them. Rather than staying frozen in a state of helplessness, we can break the spell of the kryptonite and take our power back. We have the ability to eliminate the authority we have given our own personal kryptonite by realizing it isn't the kryptonite itself that weakens us, but rather our belief that it can. There's the rub. That's the issue. It's not the thing. Thank you. Thank you. You know, I know just being on this mindful journey, Alina and I were talking about needing to be mindful and really present to what you're reacting to. And I know with this kryptonite experience and powerlessness, for me, it just kind of comes and hangs out. And you just kind of, and I've just kind of felt taken down by it. And I'm so grateful for what we teach here because if I come into a place where that power, I feel that drain, right? You know what that feels like? You're feeling all good and then it just starts going and you start shrinking and compressing yourself. And I love that now when that happens, if it happens, I can say, what's going on here? I can take that step back and stop allowing that kryptonite to cripple me and take me to a path where I feel totally disconnected and totally disempowered. And so it's important to say, what is my kryptonite? Is it a person? Maybe. Is it something that's a public thing like government or a president or somebody that's in politics? Is that your kryptonite? Is kryptonite a family situation that's come up? Is kryptonite something from your past that you haven't been able to get over yet? Kryptonite comes in many shapes and many forms. It is not just the green stone. And so it's really important to ask ourselves, what's my kryptonite? Because when you see it, you can change it. You can change your relationship to it. And I found this really cute thing about Superman. Okay, I'm going to go here, then I'll go back, but let's stay here. Thanks. Okay, so this was just a cute little, it must have been a New Thought kind of thing. It's a comic, and it says, and for the first time in his life, he deliberately touches the treacherous substance and smiles. It's true. Kryptonite can't hurt me. I've changed, but how and why? He has this moment of transcendence over the kryptonite. Wow, right? They don't teach you that in the comics. It's always, the kryptonite's always a problem. But no, we learn, he is studying science and mind principles. We didn't know that. He is, because look what happened. It doesn't have power over him because he's using the power of his mind, to realize that he gave the kryptonite its power. It didn't come from the thing. And this holds true for all those kryptonites in our life. We are giving something power that does not belong there. It's time for us to start taking that power back. Take it back. I give you permission. Please do take it back. And when we stand in a place of empowerment and take it back, we are happier people, we're stronger people. And something that I found is when I stand in my power, I don't need to defend myself. I don't need to argue with anybody anymore because I know who I am, and I'm good with that. I know what truth is to me, and I'm good with that. I do not need to convince anybody of how I think, believe, or see this world because I am my own authority. It works for me. End of story. I am good. And so I empower all of you. Thank you. Thank you. Can we go back one? So I didn't read the affirmation that I had written. This is for you guys. I take back the power I have given to anyone or anything that weakens me, and my wholeness is reinstated. The power of Spirit provides me with the strength to stand strong in all that I encounter in my life. This is a truth for us. This is something to remind ourselves to do when we're feeling like our power is slipping away. Come back home to that place within where you can connect and know who you are and let that energy flow, let it out, and take your power back. Oh, thank you. All right, did you do that for me? Oh, you're so sweet. I love him. So mental rehearsal. We're teaching Joe Dispenza right now in our classes, and he has this idea called mental rehearsal, which in Science of Mind, we might call it prayer treatment, or we could call it your mental equivalent. So basically, the idea is that when we get ourselves so submerged and immersed in an energy that we would like to experience in our life, then we are sending out such a radiance, such a vibration that this quantum field or universal mind, whatever you want to call it, something, the law, responds to that energy and that feeling state so it outpictures in our lives. And this applies to everything, whether it's finances, whether you want friends, whether you want more creativity, whether you want more peace in your life. Everything and anything begins on the meditation mat, or the prayer chair, or just sitting in some sort of state where you are mentally rehearsing what your life feels like, looks like, and is when you have that sense of what, if it's more money or peace, whatever. So to sit in a place of power, since we're talking about empowerment, a mental rehearsal of what does empowerment feel like? What do I look like when I'm in my power? I'm going to do like a total embarrassing thing right now that I do it when I go to my gym. I love the gym. And when I finish my workout, and there's all these big guys doing their thing, I walk in my power. Because to me, I do. What if I'm 5 foot and I'm this little thing and, I got a mask on and my hair is all. But man, when I'm walking from the mat and going to the locker room, I'm just feeling power. Every step is power, power, power. Head high. Perfect posture. Thank you for my gymnastics. Put that there. But I walk in it. I just walk in. I go, and I don't care what's going on around me. I do not care if people are going, she's weird, what's she doing? Because I'm just walking in my power. I'm walking in my power. Yeah. Thank you. I want to clap for you that you're doing this. I want you to take this home with you and walk in your power. Walk it. And the power feels differently to everybody. And I just implore you to find what power means to you right here. Find it. What does it feel like? Be it. Because it's independent of anything in your world. It's time for us to stop looking to the outer world for our guidance and for our permission and to tell us, that's okay, that's not okay. I know, there's certain things, we're in a society, I get that. But this is about you just letting that energy out that you are and standing in it and owning it and being it. And mental rehearsal is a great place to practice that. Just really feel what it is to be empowered. Sit in that energy, see it, feel it, know it. Sit in it every day, and you're going to start seeing that you're living your power more often in your life. Thank you. All right, we've come to the end of the show. So in Star Wars, they say, may the Force be with you. And I love that. How many of us loved hearing that whenever, right? Oh, yeah, may the Force be with you, dude. Yeah, that's so cool, right? It feels really good. But we're changing the way we say it because it's not something to wish or to hope or to say, may it, because you are the Force. You are the Force. So it's time to claim that. And to live in the energy of I am the Force. I am the quantum field. I am the allness of life. I am it through and through. And like I said earlier, if you need a little time to digest that, metabolize it, get used to it, marinate in it, do it. Because 1 minute sitting in that is going to open up your mind, open up your life, so that you start really getting that you are the Force. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you.